ears are a fun and exciting way to spice up an already existing costume or cosplay you might have, or they are an excellent intro into the furry fandom for those that might not necessarily want to wear a fursuit. I am often asked how exactly I make my cosplay ears, so in today's video we are going to do a full from start to finish tutorial all about how to make cosplay ears. Links to materials are in the description and may contain affiliate links. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Now, stay tuned for the tutorial. First, we are going to start tracing the ear shapes onto the fur that you're going to be using. I most often like to use white for my ears because that will take airbrush color the best. Be sure to note the pile direction. I needed the back side to be pointed upward and the front side to be pointed downward for these. And as you can see, I did almost make a mistake. So as always, be sure to check that pile direction. Be sure to cut them out with either a box cutter or a sharp pair of scissors. Make sure that they all are the same size by pairing them up with their respective matches, and we will get ready to start shaving. I do leave part of my ears long. On the back side, I like to leave the very bottom long and shave down the top of the ear. Usually I will brush the fur back to keep it separated so when I run the clippers over, I don't accidentally shorten the fur that I want to leave long, as shown below. You can see I kind of take it with my fingers and brush it back. You can also use a slicker brush. And for the front side of the ears, I will usually section off 2 triangle pieces to leave longer and trim out the middle to be super short. I usually trim following the pile direction as that gives the smoothest result, and I will occasionally trim to the side as well. I don't normally recommend going against the fur pile, but in this case I did do that with the middle portion of the ears because the fur just was not trimming to the length that I needed, and I was able to clean it up in such a way that it didn't damage the fur. But if you are not skilled with this, I do not recommend shaving against the grain. Once you have trimmed all of your pieces, we can move on to gluing them together and adding the wire to the ears so they can pose. I usually, with the wire, will measure the length of the first ear, then cut and measure the same length for a second piece of wire. That way each wire piece for the ear is the same length, so there is nothing that is disproportionate. Once I have that set, I will tack down the wire to the ear so that it doesn't move, and once that is tacked in, go and glue down the top piece of the ear so that the wire is completely sandwiched between the 2 pieces. This video is sped up. I do like to go about this very slowly because it helps minimize any misalignments when I try to glue the 2 pieces together, so I don't have to trim down too much of the fabric, resulting in uneven ears. As you can see with this second set of ears, I did actually glue the wire a little bit closer to the center than what I did with the first pair. You actually would benefit more from gluing closer to the middle. That way, if you have to trim any fabric, it won't cut in or expose the wire. I did end up going in later on and separate the fabric from the first ears that I did and redoing this. So repeat these steps until you have all of the ear pieces that you have cut, glued, and wired up. Once that is ready, we can move on to trimming any overhang with the scissors and cleaning up some uneven parts of fur. And as you can see, here is the section where I did end up redoing the wire on the pair of ears that I did first, just because I wanted them a little bit closer to the center. Then it is time to trim any overhang and excess fabric from when you glued the ears down so that everything is even and symmetrical and there is no exposed front or back that will result in making the ears look unfinished and weird. I will also go in and trim up loose fur and trim and shape down the fur pieces that I had left long so that they create the desired shape that I want when everything is brushed and airbrushed out. I also will do a brush and once over to make sure that all of the fur that I trimmed is even, and if not, I will go back over with the clippers or my scissors and even that out. Once I have checked all of the fur, I will go around the edges of the ear and make sure that everywhere is glued down completely so there is no splitting of the fabric, because that will just make the ears look unfinished. It could expose wire and otherwise make the ears look really bad and just isn't a professional and clean and quality look. I also will occasionally sew the fabric together rather than glue, but for the sake of this video, I am trying to keep it as accessible as possible to cosplayers and fursuit makers alike. And I know many more people have gluing skills than they do sewing skills. And in a future video, I might show you how I sew them together, but that will be another time. So go around your ears and continue to spread apart the fabric and glue down any openings that you see until there are none left. And hey guys, I do want to cut in here real quick, and I just want to say, if you are enjoying this video so far and you have found this information helpful, informative, it's inspired you, whatever it may be, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel, as it really does help me out and helps get my videos out there and lets me know that I am making stuff that is worthwhile. Once all of that is glued down, it is time to stencil and get ready to airbrush the ears. I am only showing one airbrush session on one set of ears, but the general concept is there. For this pair of ears, I am doing a sort of sunset theme with reds, oranges, and yellows. I will start with my darkest color at the bottom. Some people will do lighter colors, but because I am blending this a certain way, I started with the darkest color for this set of ears. I will do both ways, light to dark and dark to light. It really does depend on what kind of ear I am making, and this is just kind of a general example and not a full airbrushing tutorial. I can do that at some point if there is a big enough interest in that, but this will kind of just be a quick example of what I do in that process. I do multiple layers to really get a vibrant color because sometimes the paint will dry a little bit lighter or might not come on as strong as I want. And to really get a good blended look and effect, you do have to do multiple passes of the lighter colors a few times, as you can see, but it really does produce a really cool effect, and I will go back over until I get that seamless blended look. Be careful not to overdo it though, or cut your paint with water, as it will cause beading and pooling and will result in a crusty and not pleasant look once the paint has dried. But continue to airbrush until you get the desired effect that you want. And this is the final result of the ears in this video tutorial, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you some insight into how exactly I do make these ears. This was a pretty much start to finish tutorial. If there was anything that was confusing or I didn't explain well, please feel free to ask in the comments below. If you use this tutorial and want to show me what you did, I would love to see your art, and I may even feature it in an upcoming video. And hey, if you found anything in this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel, as it does really help me and I would appreciate it. But for now guys, that is all. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I am Kuro from Kemono Dungeon Fursuits. See you in the next video.